That shock came when the king made a desperate move. Facing bankruptcy, Louis XVI called a meeting of the Estates General, an assembly that hadn't convened in over 170 years. It was meant to solve the financial crisis, but instead, it opened the door to revolution. Each estate had one vote. That meant the clergy and nobility could always outvote the Third Estate, despite representing a tiny minority. The Third Estate refused to accept this. They declared themselves the National Assembly, claiming they alone represented the French people. When locked out of their meeting hall, they gathered in an indoor tennis court and swore an oath. They would not disband until France had a constitution. This moment, the tennis court oath was quiet. No blood, no riots, but it was revolutionary. For the first time, ordinary citizens openly challenged the king's authority. Louis hesitated. He could have crushed the movement early. Instead, he wavered, and that hesitation changed everything. Rumors spread through Paris that royal troops were preparing to attack. Fear turned into panic. Panic turned into action. On July 14, 1789, a crowd marched on the Bastille, a medieval fortress prison that symbolized royal power. Inside were only 7 prisoners. That's the first myth. The Bastille wasn't stormed to free masses of captives. It was attacked because it represented authority, and because it held gunpowder. The fighting was brutal. The fortress fell. Its commander was killed, and his head paraded through the streets. The French Revolution had exploded into violence. Across the countryside, peasants rose up. They burned manor houses. They destroyed records of feudal obligations. This wave of unrest became known as the Great Fear. In response, the National Assembly made a historic decision. They abolished feudal privileges. Noble titles lost legal meaning overnight. France declared itself a nation of citizens. Then came the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. It promised liberty, equality, and freedom of expression. On paper, it was revolutionary. In reality, it raised expectations that could not easily be satisfied. And now, all eyes turned to the king. Louis XVI remained on the throne, but his power was slipping away. Then came a moment driven not by ideology, but by hunger. In October 1789, thousands of women marched from Paris to Versailles. They demanded bread. They demanded action. Armed and furious, they forced the royal family to return to Paris. From that day on, the king lived under the watchful eyes of the people. The revolution had moved into the palace. Check bio for the next Act 3 story.